Welcome to Creating Disney Magic with Lee Cockerell. Lessons in leadership, management, and customer service. You can create magic too. I'm your host, Jody Mayberry, and I'm here with Lee Cockerell, the retired executive vice president of Walt Disney World. How are you doing today, Lee?
Thank you, sir. Good to see you.
All right, Lee, it appears that your camera has fallen over.
Let me see here. Okay, here we go.
Yes, there we go. Hey, Lee. All right. So I have a great story, I think, for this episode of the show. This comes from one of the volumes of the Main Street Leader, and Lee is telling a story about. I don't think there's a problem with sharing a name because it's a great story. But Lee tells a story about someone named Nora Carey who was extremely persistent and it ended up paying off. Lee, do you remember this story?
No, I don't know if I know that story, but I've known Nora forever. So, what was the
Yeah,
story about?
so it's about how Nora kept applying for a job. I think this was in Paris,
Oh,
and you didn't
yeah,
have a
sure.
job for her. And so
Yeah,
you
yeah,
kept saying no.
yeah, yeah. It's true. Nora, I was going to France to work, and somehow she was able to get in touch with me, and she had a lot of background in the food and beverage, business, menu planning, all kinds of experience in the business. Would keep contacting me saying she wanted to work at Disneyland Paris, and I kind of kept putting her off. I had no idea who this lady was or what she was all about. And then eventually and I got invited to an event at the Ritz Carlton, or not the Ritz Carlton, but the Ritz Hotel in Paris. And for what was the lady's name? Do you remember? The famous
Julia Child.
Julia Child. I got invited, and when I got there, we're in the receiving line to meet Julia, and I come along, and who's standing next to her turns out to be this lady Nora Carey, who had me invited to this, unbeknown to me that that's how the invitation came. And I thought it was pretty clever. And she told me that, and she introduced me. And I saw her again later, and eventually she kept being persistent. And we hired her, and she did an amazing job. In fact, she did a great job putting all of our menus together, the designs and printing and everything related to the restaurant paperwork and marketing and uh, and the menus were printed in 5 languages. And later on, after I left there, we brought her to Florida, and she actually developed the wine and food uh, program that we have every year at Epcot. And she managed that. She ran it, and so it turned out that it was really good for me because she really was did an excellent job, and I thought it was creative the way she did it. It reminds me of another kid who kept contacting me, and I kept not seeing him, not making an appointment. One day I just said, okay. He came in to see me, and I said, what can I do for you? And he said, nothing. I just want you to know who I am. And, same old story. And then I kind of knew who he was, and I'd run into him. Next time we hired him, and persistence is a power. Let me tell you, persistence is because it shows a lot. And it's always surprising when somebody goes that far and they figure out an angle to reach you and to get to you and know all about you and what you like and don't like. And, I've had people show up where I'm gone for coffee because they know from the podcast and other ways that's where Lee goes for coffee. So if you want to meet him, show up there and he'll probably be there. And it's funny that too many people give up too early. Well, if you really want something, and I think the lesson here is keep going, keep pushing, and you'll probably find a way, and you'll be the person who you're angling to go to work for will be impressed because if you go after that much effort to get the job, I probably believe that you'll do a good job and be reliable and be responsible and so it sends a lot of different messages when somebody does that. And I've had it done a few times, but not as many as you would think. But people are keep pushing, and yeah, so that's how that happened.
I really like this story, and we will come right back to Nora. When I was a park ranger, there was a guy who wanted to work at the park. He just wanted a park aide position, a seasonal position, and he kept showing up. And we'd say, all of our positions are filled. And he kept showing up. And then he showed, like, he would not stop. It was nearly weekly. He would show up. And every time, no, all of our positions are filled. And then a position open because someone quit unexpectedly. And then Rob shows up and he's like, I really want to work here this summer. We're like, Rob, you know what? We just had a job open. And he could have given up after the first time, after the third time, after the fifth time, and he would not stop. And it got him a job. And
Yeah.
then once he was in, he actually worked his way up the ranks and became a park ranger, all because that guy would not give up. He would not stop showing up.
Yeah, I've talked to my grandkids. We've talked about this subject of people saying, "How can I get into Disney?" and "How can I do this?" and "How can I do that?" And I say, you just one way is, meet people from Disney. Go where they go for a drink or a beer after work, and sit at the bar and say hello, and then start inquiring and meet them, and somebody will eventually you'll meet the right person who will get your resume on somebody else's desk, and because today it's pretty hard to get a job unless somebody knows you and walks you in the door, because of this whole going for a job through the internet and all that. That is very unproductive, doesn't work very well. I see college graduate joblessness went up this month pretty significantly again from last month. So there's going to be a lot of people out there competing with everybody, and you got to put your best foot forward and make sure you look right, you show up, you're on time, and you're ready for the interview, and you know everything you can about the company, and your resume is looking good and there's no errors in it, and a lot of preparation. Any mission you go on, if you prepare enough, you take enough supplies and you're ready, and no matter what happens, you're successful. And so you got to look at every angle. But having a personal relationship or meeting somebody that can walk you in the door is really good. And that's maybe the other reason we always talk about meet as many people as you can and what you're interested in, and go to the Chamber of Commerce meetings and go to association meetings, and just do everything you can to meet people. And somebody will know somebody who will know somebody who will get you an interview. And that's kind of just good, I think, for everybody to think about in these times we're in right now, because I think everybody is frustrated with applying online. It's kind of like we don't even know if they see your resume, if the computer rejects it, or Mr. AI is looking at it. Not a human never sees your ability, and there's nothing like getting in front of somebody, human to human, versus looking at paper. You can't understand a person on paper, but you can in person and how they conduct themselves. And so, yeah, you got to be a detective and figure out the way to get in.
Our friend who passed away a couple years ago, Dan Miller, the author of 48 Days to the Work You Love, he used to say, if the first time you're reaching out to a company is when they post a job, you're already too late. You're never going to get it. You should have put in the legwork long before that.
I think that's right. I had somebody contact me this week who is trying to change jobs or maybe get laid off, and I met with him to give him some advice, and it was a couple of jobs at Disney, which were posted like 10 days ago. Well, Disney Post gets thousands of people, and it's true. And you're right. I mean, you got to be out there prospecting, even if you're employed and you want to make a move somewhere else. Spend as we say, spend a little time every week looking at the potential for your next job or next company and working on it until you get ready to make the move. And you're right. And speed is really important because there's so many, especially if it's a great company and a great job like a Marriott or Disney, or I mean, they get so many resumes when they post a job. It's unbelievable, and I don't think sometimes people don't realize. I mean, boom, the computer is full. And good advice: be ahead of the
Yeah.
pack.
Well, to bounce back to Nora, what I just really enjoyed her story, how persistent she was. Yes, she kept showing up. That's very similar to the story I told about Rob, who kept showing up at the park saying, I want to work here. But I really like that she also got creative and found another way. Like, okay, we're putting on this event. Maybe Lee Cockerell will notice me if I get him an invite.
No question. I mean, I think that is right. He's brand new. He's just moved to Paris. Julia Child's famous. He's in the food business. I'm sure he'll want to come, and it's at the Ritz. I mean, and Priscilla and I went together, and yeah, it was sure. I wasn't going to. I would have gone just to go to the Ritz and be invited and and uh, get that experience alone without her having an ulterior motive for me. But it was good. It was great, and it was good way to do it. Yeah.
The last piece I like of her story is that she was so good at what she did, she ended up making Lee look good. And and I think that something if when you know you're really good, you should have the confidence to be persistent because she knew she could help you out, Lee.
And she spoke French. She spoke English. I mean, as we got to know more about her, she had all the pieces. She had lived in France. She had lived in America. I mean, it all came together as we got to know her better, and turned out to be a good deal.
All right, Lee. So let's say I have a company in mind, maybe or maybe not a role, but just a company that I know I want to work for. Give us an idea on how to be persistent without overdoing it, without looking bad, but just to get noticed.
Yeah, I mean, I think today when you've got to try, I think I would start by trying to figure out who I could meet or who I already know that knows somebody in that business or in that hotel. I'd do a lot of research on the internet, and I'm sure I'd find somebody. I might even post on there, "Hey, this Lee, very interested in these companies. Anybody out there?" And there's somebody that will know that company and company. Oh yeah, we know that, or I work there. Or, I mean, you just keep working it. And today, with the communication through the internet, you reach a lot of people who know people who pass it along, and just I just say, I think Tristan even said to one employer, "How often would it be okay for me to check in with you?" I don't want to be overbearing, but do you mind if I send you a note once a month and just keep in touch with you? So in case you think of something, and a lot of people say, sure, no problem. Just keep in touch with us. Let us know. Uh, because that persistence and that seeing your name pop up every month or so, timing that's when you might hit the timing because we are so busy in life we only remember the thing that happened yesterday. So and I think it depends what business you're in, but there's somebody out there that knows somebody that knows that about that company probably. And visit the company, go there. Even Tristan today went for his interview. He left, he got there 3 or 4 hours early. He was going to check out the hotel. He was going to have lunch there. He was going to see how they run the place, how the greetings and everything. So when he sits down for his interview, he did at 3:30 today. He had already experienced the product and can say that. I came over early, impressive, and since I'm interviewing for a restaurant job, I had lunch in the restaurant you're talking about, and I was able to, and it'll give him some insights. After he had that, he may not want to work there. He may find out nobody knows what they're doing, they're not trained, And so, anytime you can do more than everybody else will be doing, a lot of people just apply online and wonder why they never get a job. You got to work it. You got to work it. It's like when you were 20 years old looking for a new girlfriend. You got to work it. You got to be persistent. And uh, yeah, so just decide what you want and work it every day till you get it. And then you eventually you'll run into other opportunities too. By the way, when you start after one, others will pop up, and others will see. I mean, I would say persistence may be one of the, you think about it. If you're stuck out in the desert, the person who survives is the one who keeps walking and gets to where there's water. And there's others that, oh man, I can't go any further. That last mile may be the one that gets you there alive. And we have many examples of that in every part of life. We read about them every day. Steve Jobs, he would just guy was just like relentless, and look what he did. And there's a million examples of that. Uh, People who should not have been so successful that turned out, dropped out of college. People, I mean, it's those stories are every day. We see them and go, why did they? How did they get there? And it was that drive, and I'm going to get what I want one way or the other. It may take you a little longer, may not, or it may lead you to a different road. I posted the other day, when you go down that fork in the road, if it's not nothing down there, you can come back and go down the other side. You don't have to keep going on a dead end, and you just you take it as I think as an experience, because even interviewing, each time you do it, you get better. You kind of figure it out. You get more comfortable. It's kind of like public speaking. The more you do it, the more you get comfortable, and it becomes natural. So I really still believe every experience is a good experience. Uh, every experience gives you uh, information that will help you solve some problem down the road. And yeah,
Oh, this has been really good. And Lee will often say the secret to his success has been empathy and discipline. I think wrapped in that discipline though is tenacity and persistence. That is one of the things I think you may not realize about Lee, because he comes across so humble and friendly and laid back on the podcast, but Lee is tenacious, and I think that's been a big key to what's worked for you, Lee.
well, I have a friend who was in sales, and he said, when you say no to me, that's when I'm going to come after you, and I'm going to sell something to you eventually. That's what really turns me on, saying no. I don't, he said, I will find a way.
Yeah,
It's kind of like
yeah.
the hunt, I'm going to figure this out. So,
Well, if you want to plan a great vacation, you don't have to be persistent, really. You just have to call our friends at Magical Vacation Planner. You can call them at 407 442 2694. Let them know what vacation you want to take, and they will be the tenacious ones planning it and helping you find the right deal and get out on vacation. All right, Lee, this has been a great conversation. I'm glad we got to share Nora's story, because I think there is a lot of inspiration in there. If
well,
you enjoyed this story about Nora, it was in a volume of the Main Street Leader, which you can find at mainstreetleader.com. It's only $10 a month. You spend that much. Lee, how long does it take you to spend $10 on coffee?
a day and a half.
A day and a half. There you go. Good comparison. All right. Thank you so much, Lee. Until next week, go out and create magic for others.